Welcome back to Daytona 500 qualifying practice on FS1. Mike Joy, Darrell Walter, Jeff Gordon, Larry Mack with you. Chris Neville, Vince Welch down in the garage area. And we've now had 38 of the 42 cars on track. Still awaiting the appearance of Furniture Row. They have cleared inspection to come out into the line and get ready to go, along with 2 of the open cars. Well, we were kidding Larry about being able to dissect why the launch didn't go off at Cape Canaveral, but you should see all the toys Larry has at his disposal to show you how these cars work.
Well, I want to first commend all the guys and girls at FS1 and Fox for working on all these projects. Now, this is the underside of the car. It's one of the places that teams have some liberties to work. And I want you to look at things that hang down like this, like the bell housing, like these exhaust pipes right here. This is the rear end housing right here, the fuel cell. Those are things that disturb the air. Now, as you see the air approach red, that's the highest pressure area of that car. As you can see, though, Jeff and Darrell, as the air goes underneath the car, it becomes less pressure, and as it exits the car, it goes back to a high pressure. So once it leaves the splitter, goes underneath, even with things disturbing the air, it's much less pressure than when that air approaches the front splitter.
I absolutely love that graphic, because this is something we just don't see a lot of, and you won't hear the teams talk a lot about working the underside of these cars, but they have worked the bodies on top tremendous amount, but there's so many little areas that they can work with underneath the car. We talk about having a car that's really good on drag for high speeds, but where do you find the downforce? Well, you can possibly get that downforce without a drag penalty by really working the underside of these race cars.
Guy told me, one of the crew chiefs told me they moved the oil tank, just moved it up a little bit, like a ½ inch, picked up downforce. Wow. Just moved the oil tank ½ inch.
If the flow of that air can be unobstructed and continue the speed of the air and the pressure areas that Larry talked about, that is just free downforce and speed.
And we talk a lot about aero. The Wood brothers, Leonard Wood specifically, for years in NASCAR, has specialized in reducing the mechanical drag of parts on that race car. Everything that rotates in this car, has either a bearing or a gear surface or something. And Leonard was a master at reducing the mechanical drag on these parts. You saw in FS1 this week, they talk about Tiny Lund winning the 500. Well, the reason he won was Leonard Wood had a car that could run with better fuel efficiency and make one less pit stop, and Lund won the 500 in 1963. That's how long the Wood brothers have been just so adept. They won it with Trevor Bayne, and a lot of it was because that car wasn't so slipperier in the wind. They had less mechanical drag than anybody else.
Mike, look at that 21 car. He ran through that stage right, and look what it did to the front tires, the wheels and the tires. Now, that tells you that there's a lot going on around those tires and wheels that are spinning underneath that car. You look how white the front tire is and the wheel.
You brought up a really good point there as well, Darrell, and you saw a little bit of it in that graphic that Larry showed, where it's not just about the air moving underneath the car, but it's how you're evacuating the air out through those fender wells and wheels as well. We haven't talked a lot about Ryan Blaney. I tell you what, this is a young man that I think really is going to have an impact on this sport's future. Great young talent, great personality, good-looking young kid, and comes from a very talented family with his father, Dave Blaney, who I used to race sprint cars with, a very talented race car driver who's also running the Cup Series over the years.
And his grandfather, Lou, I mean, he's a third-generation driver. And a very good one. We saw Joey Gase also out there. A little bit of smoke from Joey's car first time he came by.
Probably reminds me of an old soul. Yeah. When he does an interview, it's like he's been around forever. Got the deep voice and.
Yeah. Now a second look at the Joey Gase car. Probably just a dust up from some of that speedy dry, not smoke, but.
But I love it because we talk about our graphics and being in the wind tunnel, and Larry's done shots before showing the smoke go over the top of these race cars. That's really cool to see how the air is moving when they go through some of the speedy dry, and it shows what it does, not just by picking it up, but how it exits the car. It's a very cool shot.
Landon Castle back out. Still quite a line of cars waiting to go. You'll see probably 3 cars on track at any one time, so that cars can make their runs without picking up or sniffing a draft from another driver. Here's a third-generation racer. Don LaJoie was a great modified ace. His son Randy LaJoie, Busch Series champion. His son Corey LaJoie has worked hard to get his way to the NASCAR Cup Series, and here he is.
Yeah, great seeing him get this opportunity.
Yeah, you're talking about time. We only got an hour and a half to go. I mean, you know, we're going to run out of time here pretty quick.
I'm just loving this youth movement. I really am. I think, you know, while we don't always like to see veterans move on from the sport, it gives opportunity to a young driver to come and get a great chance at showcasing their abilities. And to me, mixing the young new talents with the wise veterans, that's what makes rivalries, that's what builds fan bases, and that's what grows the sport.
See, I thought for a while we didn't have enough yellow bumpers. Because yellow bumpers, when you see a guy with a yellow bumper, you can figure there's going to be some excitement there around that car sooner or later. And we didn't have enough of them, but now we're bringing them back.
Each rookie, and there are 7 drivers hoping to run their first Daytona 500 next Sunday, has to have a yellow strip across the bumper like you see on Daniel Suarez's car on the rear bumper. Rookie stripe.
There's something you don't see every day in NASCAR. Hometown, Monterrey, Mexico.